such a big thing. Like everything has always been, on the tail of my parents, and this is like I get to be the. But we went to this spot where it was, where it worked, and he was showing us around, very proud to be the guy, and he showed us an arch, and they said they're not sure how old it is. They think maybe the oldest arch in the world. They know it's pre-Philistine, but they don't know how far earlier than that. And so, we took a couple of nephews, one of whom they were both graduating from high school. One of whom went on to undergraduate and graduate work at Liberty, and so they were anxious to see all the Christian sites. So we went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Congregation Orami, especially if it's your first time here ever or just in a long while. And welcome also to those who are joining from home through our live stream. We begin our service together with the opening reflection. And let's read that in English on page 1. Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different, enjoying the pleasant without holding on when it changes, which it will, being with the unpleasant without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't. In this moment, there is plenty of time. In this moment, you are precisely as you should be. In this moment, there is infinite possibility. I'd like to invite up Leah to light our Shabbat candles on page 2.
Just as the light of a single candle can dispel the darkness of 1,000 years, the moment we light a single candle of wisdom, no matter how long or deep our confusion, ignorance is dispelled. On this Shabbat, may we share our light, our wisdom, and our joy with the world.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. At this point in our service, we think of the week that has passed, and we hold on to all of the good things from this past week. If you had an experience that inspired gratitude, if you have some good news to share, no matter how big or how small, I invite you to share that joy with the community now. Yeah, Jack?
I started teaching my friends some of the prayers that was needed in temple.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad you're teaching your friends some of the prayers. That's very cool.
Well, the ones I can remember.
The ones, well, that's where you got to start, the ones you remember. Anything else cool this week? Good. Lawn maintenance is important. Good. Yeah, Russ? Good. It's been a great week for gardening. So we thank God for all these blessings, including a blessing of simply being alive for this moment in time. The words of Shehechianu on page 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. We continue at the bottom of page 3, meeting this moment. May I meet this moment fully. May I meet it as a friend. May I feel contented and safe. May I feel protected and pleased. May my physical body support me with strength. May my life unfold smoothly with ease. And we continue on page 5 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. And we rise together and face the entrance to symbolically welcome in the presence of Shabbat. ובשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. Continue on page 6, the meditation. Close your eyes and just listen. Let the sounds that come and go, whether far or near, be like clouds in the vast sky of your own awareness. Notice how the sounds appear and disappear without resistance. After you rest in this open awareness for a time, notice how thoughts and images also arise in your mind and then vanish like the sounds. Let the thoughts and images come and go without struggle or resistance. Pleasant and unpleasant thoughts, pictures, words, and feelings move unrestricted in the space of mind. Problems, possibilities, joys, and sorrows come and go like clouds in the clear sky of mind. After a time, let this spacious awareness notice the body. Become aware of how the sensations of breath and body float and change in the same open sky of awareness. The breath breathes itself. It moves like a breeze. As breath enters the body, you will sense that the body is not solid. It is experienced as areas of hardness and softness, pressure and tingling, warm and cool sensation, all floating in the space of the mind's awareness. Let the breath move like a breeze. Rest in this openness. Let sensations float and change. Allow all thoughts and images, feelings and sounds to come and go, like clouds in the clear open space of awareness. Finally, pay attention to awareness itself. Notice how the open space of awareness is naturally clear, transparent, timeless, and without conflict, allowing all things, but not limited by them. We take a deep breath and exhale. We rise for the Baruch Hu, the official call to worship at the bottom of page 6. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. The middle of page 7, Ahavat Olam. Love creates a communion with life. Love expands us, connects us, sweetens us, ennobles us. Love springs up in tender concern. It blossoms into caring action. It makes beauty out of all we touch. In any moment, we can step beyond our small self and embrace each other as beloved parts of a whole. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we continue with the Shema, the middle of page 8. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Page 9. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha Uchtavtam amezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai Vitem kadoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue on the top of page 10. Liberation. Nirvana manifests as ease, as love, as connectedness, as generosity, as clarity, as unshakable freedom. This isn't watering down nirvana. This is the reality of liberation that we can experience, sometimes in a moment, and sometimes in transformative ways that change our entire life. We continue with Mi Chamocha at the bottom of page 10. Yai lai 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 yai la 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 ya la la yai lai 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 ya la 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 yai lai 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 yai la 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 ya la la yai la lai lai ya la 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilo tosefele, Nora tehilo tosefele. I'd like to invite up Ian to lead us in the reading on top of page 11.
The importance of Shabbat. When we get too caught up in the business of the world, we lose connection with one another and with ourselves. When we let go of our battles and open our hearts to things as they are right now, then we come to rest in the present moment. This is the beginning and the end of spiritual practice. Only in this moment can we discover that which is timeless. Only here can we find the love that we seek.
And we continue with Bishamru in the middle of page 11. Bishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, בשמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We continue on page 12. With the reflection. There are many ways up the mountain, and each of us must choose a path that feels true to our heart. When we consider our current path, we must look at the values we have chosen to live by. Where do we put our time, our strength, our creativity, our love? We must look at our life without sentimentality, exaggeration, or idealism. Does what we are choosing reflect what we most deeply value? Please rise for our central prayer, the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, let my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umito Melach, Melech Meimit Umechaye, Umatmeach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Please be seated. We continue with a quiet moment for personal prayer or reflection. Page 14. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. At this point in our service, we think of loved ones who are in need of healing. Tonight, we think especially of Jessica Crow, Amanda Furman, Jessica Gill, Jean Wetherill, Beth Levine, Rabbi Jerry Levy, Natalie Rayner, and Alex Simon. Are there other loved ones whose healing we wish to pray for tonight?
Ryan Yergajal.
Bruce Haynes and Wanda Ferguson.
Judy Boyd.
Where's Campbell?
Clarissa Steyer and Nancy Knight.
Lisa Fryman, Elsa Fryman, and Steve Clark.
With the power of community, we pray for their refuah shlema, their complete healing of body and or spirit, with the words of Mishaberach found at the bottom of page 16. Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. This week has two Torah portions, Behar and Bechukotai. And I want to focus on the first portion tonight, Behar, which describes the sabbatical and jubilee years. So we might describe the sabbatical, or Shemitah as it's called in Hebrew, as a sort of Shabbat for nature. Just as humans get a day off of work once every 7 years, or feels like every 7 years, every 7 days, the land gets a year off from agricultural production once every 7 years. So that's a basic explanation of the sabbatical year, but a 19th century Lithuanian movement called Musar produced additional insights on this concept, which get to the core of this teaching and how it can help us to better understand and improve our lives. So Shemitah literally means release, and many of us struggle with releasing or letting go of things. Sometimes we struggle to let go of grudges or other relics of pain from the past. And as we go through life, many of us also struggle with letting go of control. So not having control can bring up a lot of feelings. It can make us feel anxious in some situations or carefree in others, depending on the situation. In each context, we have to figure out what the right level of control is. The Torah seems to suggest that humans do well feeling in control about 6/7 or 85% of the time, but that we can also learn something valuable about letting go 1/7 or 15% of the time. So tonight I'd like to have a group discussion on the topic of control and letting go. The first question is, do you think that ratio of being 85% in control and 15% letting go sounds about right? Or do you think the average person would do best with a different ratio? So what do you think of the Torah's math? Ron?
One thing I do know is that during the French Revolution, the French, being in love with the metric system, decided they would have the equivalent of Shabbat only once every 10 days, and it was a complete disaster.
Mm-hmm. So something about 7 days we need to kind of let go more often than every 10 days.
Whether it's just habit or whether they felt they were being cheated out of weekends, I don't know, but I know it was dry for a while, and I know it was dismal family.
Okay, so the French tried a different ratio with time off. What about in life in general? Does 85% control sound good, or are we thinking we need higher or lower? Yeah.
Well, so should I be thinking of it as at any point in time I'm either one or the other, and it's 85% of the time I'm one, or because at any point in time I might be, I don't think of it as one or the other. I think at any point in time there's some mix of how in control I am.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes vanishingly small is the percentage of control, but. As far as the ratio,
Mm-hmm.
is,
Like if I could promise you that you would have complete control of your life 85% of the time, would you be happy with that, or would you ask for more, or say, I don't need that much?
I'd probably say I don't need that.
Okay, so you like to go with the flow a little bit more?
I think it depends what period of life you're in. I think when you have little kids, you might need a little more control, sometimes less control, but when you're retired, you don't need as much control. As I said, I just think it depends what stage of life
Mm-hmm.
you're in.
So you might want to take all those sabbatical years and save them for retirement. That's when you need less control. Russ, what do you think?
Well, I'm married, so it's,
So 15% is a high number, yeah. Jack?
Really? I just think it depends what your mood is like. Usually for me, it's 60% control, 40% not in control. Because I get angry really easily, but I'm working on that. So so usually when I'm in a good mood, it's like today, it's what you said, 80%, 15%. But it's I'm not having a good day, switch it around.
Mm-hmm. So it depends on the day and the situation and what we're controlling, right? If we're controlling our temper and everything's been going wrong that day, right, we might not have 85% control.
Might even be 95% not in
Yeah. So we stub your toe with every step. Yeah, Russ?
seriously, I think much of the time we think we're in control, but we're really not.
Mm-hmm.
It's an illusion.
We like to feel that we're in control.
Mindset,
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that a lot of times when we think we're not in control, we really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ron?
Yeah, speaking to Russ's comment, there's a really famous book on Zen Buddhism by Alan Watts called The Wisdom of Insecurity. And in that book, he makes the point that it's an illusion to think that you have control of anything at any time. And so once you accept the fact that we really, it's an illusion to think you're in control at all of anything that's important, then you're a happier person because you accept that as the true nature of being, which is that all control is illusory.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing some mixed reviews on this control thing, right? So it's an illusion, but we also like to have it in certain situations. Stan, what do you want to add?
Responding to what Russ said, there was a time when I lived in an apartment that was a big house that had been cut up into a number of, there was shops and offices on the ground floor and a number of different apartments. And everything was told that I had to thermostat to the building in my apartment. So people would call and say, I'm freezing, or yell at me for, are you in your Turkish bath up there, or whatever. And they would come up and I would, move the thermostat, make it warmer or colder, and they'd go away happy. And I asked the landlord, can you have the thermostat moved into the hall where everybody has access to it without actually having, come into my place? And a technician came up and unscrewed the thermostat from the wall, and it came off with nothing, no anything. But it made people feel better to think that we were making it normal or making it colder.
That's great. I've heard something similar on crosswalks, that the button's there to make you feel like you're changing the light faster, but it's really just on its own timing system. Yeah, Ron?
But along that same line, there have been a lot of studies of nursing homes, people who live in nursing homes or really in assisted living, if they feel that they have control over some things, for instance, just they're being in charge of watering plants on a certain day of the week, that they feel a lot better than if they don't have control over or don't have responsibility for anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just being an inmate rather than a resident.
Mm-hmm. So there's some overlap between control, autonomy, and responsibility, right? They've done similar studies, I think, on prisoners who are given animals to take care of that really helps them make progress. So there's something about responsibility and control that can bring out good things in us. Russ, you want to?
I was just gonna say that, the worst thing I can say to my wife is, we'll figure it out. She'll say, how are we gonna get out of this mess? And I really mean it, we'll figure it out, but she needs that control, she needs the answer, she needs the outline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of control is about anxiety, right? About the uncertain. It's really hard not to know, like, will this apartment be 90 degrees or will it be 40 degrees? Right? It's difficult to plan. Do I need to get my sweaters out? What's going on? So sometimes having a sense of control, whether that's pushing a button that actually does nothing, or having conversations about, okay, what is our plan for this situation, can provide some alleviation from that anxiety and a sense of control. Second question is, what do you think it was like for the Israelite farmers to let their land go once every 7 years? How would you feel if you had to experience such a drastic change in your work environment and food supply? Do you think you might grow from that experience in some way, or would it just be agony? So Jack, what do you think? How would it feel to be one of those farmers?
I would just be angry and I would just start a riot.
Okay, so angry riot.
And I just throw my sickle. Made me do that, like, take it.
So a lot of sickle throwing, right? Frustration that you don't have your routine can be difficult. Yeah. Stan?
I mean, there are people who practice Shabbat now. I mean, in Israel, not too long ago, I guess it was last year or so, it was the 7th year. And, I'm not much of a farmer. I have no idea how people eat for a year if they don't plant and grow and harvest.
The federal government, when I was working up on a farm, they had a program similar to that, where every certain number of years, and I don't remember exactly what it was, that they would pay you to let your farmland grow fallow because it rejuvenated the soil. It gave the soil a chance to recover from being so heavily farmed. And they really did that. Well, I don't know if the program's still running now through the agriculture department or not, but they practice that. They would pay farmers, and they staggered the farmers so that not every farmer was doing it, or that they would have a certain amount of land and they would rotate, they rotate the crops, and we put corn here and cotton here and peanuts here, and this acreage would be fallow. And then they would rotate, every year they would rotate it, and the federal government paid the farmers to do that.
So that allows the land to rest, but also addresses the human anxiety. But where's our food coming from? Where's our income coming from? Right. Any other thoughts? Yeah, Ron?
Well, that addresses the issue also of the idea of ownership. If you allow your land to lay fallow for once every 1 year and 7, then maybe you don't feel quite so much that it's your land. And I think you look at life differently if you're separated somewhat from the idea of ownership, because that's also an illusion.
Mhm.
And I would think in Israel, if they do that anymore, that they would have to stagger the years, so that one farmer's, 1/7 of the land would be fallow at any one time. Otherwise, it would just be unworkable.
Mhm.
You couldn't store up enough food for a whole country to.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of planning that goes into observing the sabbatical year in Israel. So first, it would be observant Jews who own farmland. So if you're not the owner, kind of like Passover, you can sell your chametz to someone else who is not obligated by those rules. That's one workaround. But a lot of times they'll import like tomatoes from Italy instead of growing them locally. So luckily, one of the pluses of globalization is those who want to observe the Shemitah or sabbatical year are still able to bring in food through the global food network, but are able to give their land rest as well. And there's debates, how much should Israel follow traditional Jewish law when it can impact the food supply and economy so significantly? All right, last question is, what is something that you have learned to stop trying to control? Was there a particular situation that helped you learn how to let go? Are we still working on that?
Well, I think the obvious one is if you have children, they're gonna grow up and sooner or later they're gonna listen to you anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're gonna be in cars.
So I think in relationships in general, right, realizing we can't control other people, right? Sometimes we'll have an idea in our head like the perfect partner would do this and they would just know to do that. And when you meet a real human being, like, oh, okay, I can't be in control of all these details. And then with small children, especially, that's a joke, right? Like, they're going to nap at this time. We'll see if they do, right? And then they grow up and you try to instill certain values and they'll find their path, which includes some of those and some other things they've discovered on their own. I can't tell if you want to respond to that or just thinking. Yeah, Stan?
I'm paraphrasing that because I don't remember it exactly, but in, the famous children's book, The Little Prince, there's a scene where someone is supposed to be a great king, and he's commanded to make the sun set, and he says the sun will set at 6:17 p.m. So I want him to make the sunset now. If he tries to make the sunset now, he won't be a great king. If he makes the sunset at 6:17 p.m., that's the way he maintains being a great king. Again, it's speaking to the using what we don't have control over in a way that we sort of reframe it. That it's our choice to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. So we can't control what other people do or what the sun does, but we can control our response to it, right? We can be angry about the fact that the sun's not setting at the right time, or we can just accept the sun sets when it sets. We can enjoy that when it happens, but we're going to have to wait another hour. Any other things you've learned to let go of or hope to learn to let go of at some point in life? Yeah, Margaret.
I was gonna say the choices your children make as they get older. Yeah, that was a challenge, just having certain expectations and certain things, certain standards, and just learning that they're just gonna do what they're gonna do, no matter what you say.
So parenting's like the ultimate, like letting go.
Well, I think as they mature, it just works out better for your relationship if you don't try to control exactly what they're doing or where they're doing or what the There's a lot, you know, when they get to be a certain age.
Mm-hmm. So hearing about the parenting perspective, what about being a child, Jack?
Anna was crying at my 2-year-old, almost Anna was crying at my 2-year-old sister. Yesterday so I had a test today, and I had to study for it, plus get some homework done, and she was just crying for me, and I just had to pause homework so she'd stop crying. Strangely, she become adapted to want to be more me than her mom. Strangely. No idea why.
So we definitely can't control 2-year-olds, right? They're like the sun. They do what they do, and then we just roll with it. Yeah, Stan?
It brought up a memory of my mother, that she had a beautiful yard, and she was kind of a very anxious person, and things being out of control was very uncomfortable for her. And I once asked her about gardening. I said, "Well, you work really hard and put in a lot of time." And she said, "But it seems to, you seem to enjoy it." She said, "Well, if I want something to grow here, I plant it. And if something comes up and I don't want it, I pull it up." She said, "There's so much in the world that I don't have any control over. Right here, it's the way I want it to be, and I can make it that way."
There's a phrase in the Talmud, Dalit Amot. It's like 4 cubits. So we all kind of need our own little zone of cubits. That's the world exactly how we'd like it to be. So Shabbat is a way to create that, right? You don't want all the stress of work or whatever else might be troubling you. You have this moment in time that is the world that you would like to live in. And the sabbatical allows the land itself to have that time to just produce whatever it wants to produce rather than what we ask of it. Any last thoughts on control? I think there's strong links with anxiety, right? And it's normal to want to have some control in life, right? The Torah begins with a story of chaos, right? And then how God brings order and control to the universe and calls it good, right? And 6/7 of the time, we do have, or we strive to have control. So it's, if you're like, oh, I can't let go, it's a good thing that you have that desire to bring order and peace to the world. But I encourage us all to try to let go, especially if there's relationships where we find ourselves wanting to tell a loved one, like, this is how you should live your life because it's worked out well for me, right? That's a moment, right, to say, I'm going to exercise that 15% of letting go and to trust in you, to trust in God, trust in the universe that it will work out. All right, let's continue our service with actually announcements. Lori, would you share some announcements on behalf of the board?
Shabbat Shalom. Tomorrow there will be Torah study, both in person and virtual. However, on Sunday, because it's Mother's Day, there will be no religious school. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and to all the people who celebrate mothers. On next Thursday is the last of the Trialogue series. That will take place here at Orem, so we hope that a lot of people will come from Orem. And if you do plan to come, the topic is how we understand blessings. It would be a real blessing if you brought food to share, because we need to serve a lot of people. There's a mom's night out the same night, but I'm going to downplay that one because we want people to come to the Trialogue. Then next Sunday is the closing day celebration for religious school, and it's also Real Theology movie night. And before I call Ron up to say something about the movie, I'd like to call Russ up for just a minute, please. That's what you get for telling me you don't want to do this anymore. Okay, Russ has been in charge of the film series for how many years?
15 years.
15 years. So he told me this evening that it's time for him to step down from that role. The movie nights will continue, but I want to thank Russ for all of those years of service putting together an interesting array of movies.
It's, the way we do it now, it's a lot easier than when I started because we've got a nice flat screen TV and it's real easy. If you were here for movie night maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it was a Rube Goldberg situation. It was awful. So if anybody wants to take the job on, I can give you some hints. I can give you a list of movies we've shown in the past. Although sometimes it's good just to see a movie a second time. So if anybody wants to campaign for the position, I'll be your campaign manager.
All right.
Anyway.
Thank you. Thank you, Russ, very much. The next movie is Eyes Wide Open, and Ron likes to share a few words about the movie. He does a good, are you ready to give a few words about the movie? Come on up, Ron.
Did everybody read the announcement in the bulletin? Yes, did everybody? Then I don't need to say anything. I won't repeat what was in the bulletin this week, but Eyes Wide Open is a 2009 New York Times critics pick that's been shown in many Jewish film festivals throughout the world. The filmmaker has said in this movie that what he wanted to explore was what happens when a young, handsome, single stranger arrives in a closed community. And that's what the movie's about. It's, you know, most of these ultra-Orthodox communities are very closed communities. And the film is about what happens when a stranger appears and how does the community deal with somebody who doesn't really fit into their idea of ultra-Orthodoxy. So it should be a good film. I've seen it a couple times over the years, and I thought it would be a good film for us to try. So come on Sunday.
Ron, what's the rating?
Well, it's not a children's movie. There isn't any rating, but it's an adult film. So, okay. Is that good enough?
Yes, that's fine. All right, I think that's all. Happy Mother's Day again to the mothers and to those celebrating Mother's Day. And Shabbat Shalom.
And one more announcement about our service next Friday. That'll be our last program in the series about gender diversity. So that's what the theme will be for next Shabbat. I'm finalizing the service this week, so if you have any artwork or poetry about gender that you would like to see in the service, send it to me before Tuesday. So, all right. We continue our service with Aleinu on page 18. Please rise for the Aleinu prayer. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula leotze breshid, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Three things. In the end, just 3 things matter: how well we have lived, how well we have loved, how well we have learned to let go. At this point in our service, we think of loved ones who have passed away recently or at this time in years past. We remember tonight the yardsites of Dana Edwards, sister-in-law of Alyssa Freeman, Esther Epstein, grandmother of Allison Peaks, Fred Gould, father of Bruce Gould, Alan Mickler, father of Marcia Hansel, Jack Mockrick, uncle of Art Matz, Robert Moses, father of Joel Moses, Walter Nelson Jr., father of Nancy Nelson, Nathalia Nelson, grandmother of Nancy Nelson, and Harris Snyder, father of Jane Katz. Are there other loved ones we wish to remember tonight? Zichronam Libracha, may their memories always be a blessing. We remain standing as a community of support for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 19. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, Shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort for all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated. We conclude our service near the middle of page 20 with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, Amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat shalom. And thank you, Patricia, for playing piano tonight. We're glad you're back from Israel and back at ORME. So if you would kindly return your services to the table near the entrance and then join us in the back for Kiddush and Motzi, that would be great. Thank you, and Shabbat shalom.
The religious party, is it just 9 to
After she got some